Okay. Hello. Hi, my name is Blakely Smith from Blakely Smith Coaching. I'm joined today by Bella Cosper. She is the leader, owner, creator of Eggroll Media. And so today we're just going to talk a little bit about the business. So Bella, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for asking me. I feel honored.
Oh, you got it. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, a little sweaty. You know, it's hot here in LA, but other than that, I've had a pretty great day, I must say.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us in the heat. Okay, so let's jump right in. So tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from originally.
Originally, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, or the outskirts of Atlanta. And I started out in nursing school and started working in the hospital and in a doctor's office as a medical assistant, x-ray tech, EKGs, all that stuff. And at that time I was really young and I took a job just for the security. And then I somehow found myself doing theater as a hobby, and then it became a big passion. And then it became, you know, I really want to get paid for doing this and make a career of it. So that meant move to LA. That was back 2003, before all the productions were happening in Atlanta. And so I came out here to LA and started acting. And then eventually I started writing. I learned to write for myself in the theaters. And so then it turned into more of a career with the writing.
Gotcha. That's so neat. So you went from, so you're Southern Belle and you moved.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. So you moved from, I am too.
Yeah.
So you moved from medical to acting to producing. That's a really neat set of skills there. So what do you love about acting?
I like to get into a different character. Most of the time, you know, we guard ourselves or we act polite or whatever. And then when you're a character playing someone else, you can just be somebody totally different than you would normally be in a situation. So I think it's a lot of fun. And I also love, since I was a kid, I love storytelling. So getting to be somebody in a story is pretty cool.
Got it. So you can kind of be who you want to be.
Exactly. That's a nice way to sum it up.
Oh, thank you. So do you also do storytelling?
I do. I've produced some live shows called Southern Blend Storytelling, where I have any Southerners I can find in LA and have them come. That's usually a live show. And they come and we do it on stage, and that's a whole lot of fun. I wear my overalls and cowgirl boots for that. And I think I'm going to move it to audio soon, you know, with the situation we're in. Yeah. I could get a wider audience.
Yeah. So where can we find that?
I haven't put that one up. It's mainly been stage, that storytelling show. I do other people's storytelling shows around town. Haven't, you know, in the last 3 or 4 months.
Gotcha. Obviously, because we're in the middle of COVID and everything. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I look forward to that being available on audio. That's really cool. Okay. So what about producing and writing? What do you love about that?
So producing, I kind of fell into, well, I've done a lot in the comedy theaters here in LA. That was how I got my feet wet with the writing and producing and directing. And then I didn't think of it as producing then, but I guess it is, because if you're running your sketch show or your storytelling show, you're the one calling the shots. I don't like to say that. You're the one putting everything together and making sure everything is nicely ironed out, and planning and, you know, funds and all that stuff. But then it came to actually how my business, it kind of leaned into my business, because I had all these pilot scripts for TV that I had written, and one of my groups that I meet up with, a writer's group, I kept telling them month after month, you know, I really just want my own production company because I have all these scripts and I just want to make something. And one of my friends said, you know how to produce audio, don't you? And I said, oh yeah, I've been doing that for a long time. And then I thought, yeah, I'll make one of my scripts into a fiction podcast. So with that, I thought I needed a company to produce it. And my company was first called Southern Blend Productions, like the storytelling show that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I produced 9 episodes and wrote 9 episodes and directed of that show called The Bleachers. It was about just some good old fellers and ladies back in Georgia at a ballpark. And it's at a softball game, but you never hear of the kids. It's all about the gossip and all the chaos that goes on in the bleachers.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. It was an accomplishment. But then, of course, once you finish one project, it's like, okay, what's next?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Gotcha. So incredible. So, and the bleachers, that's available on audio, right?
Yeah, it's on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and my website, bellacosper.com.
Gotcha. Yeah. So everything does happen in the bleachers, right?
Yes, all the good stuff.
Yeah. So,
there were affairs and somebody got killed and just all this chaos.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, that's a really good podcast. I did listen to it. It's incredible. Really, really, really.
Oh, thank you.
Really rich gossip there. Loved it. Made me feel
what was that?
Made me feel right at home.
Oh, yeah, I know. My sister was a softball superstar, and that was how I knew, what the whole scene was about. And I taught myself sound design during that. I knew how to edit audio and stuff, but as far as all the sound effects and all that, I had never done that. So, in the early episodes, you can see how I'm just learning. Like there's only a little bit of sound design, and then by episode 5 or 6, then it gets like pretty solid. And by the end, I had the hang of it, and I was like, oh no. So maybe one day I'll go through and beef up the earlier episodes.
Gotcha. Okay. So curious, what was it like to transition from acting to writing in this way?
I think even if I'm writing and somebody else is going to play the role, which is pretty much what's going to happen these days. I mean, I'm open to it, but I always see myself as the main character, regardless of their sex, their race, their personality, anything. I always write something I would love to play. I think people who know how to act, or at least have taken a few acting classes, become a better writer. Just because we're taught how to feel emotion and all that stuff that's not taught in writing school. So it made it more fun because I'm in control of the story.
Got it. So, then you can also help other people be be whoever they want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And when I've had, like with the Bleachers, once I had the cast, I had episode 1 written already, but then once I cast it and I saw who everybody was, then with the future episodes, I was able to write like one guy that played this character named Nubbin. He's just this very shy guy who barely likes to talk and everything. And, he's just a really nervous guy naturally. So when he did the first episode in the recording, when I was editing it and listening back, I was like, this is perfect. This is Nubbin. I didn't even know he was such a character. So yeah, it just brought it to life to like another layer of it that I didn't know was going to happen.
Gotcha. Wow, that's really cool. So I just wanted to also ask you about the COVID coffee break. Can you talk a little?
Oh yeah. So when they did the quarantine and everybody was sent home from work and had to work from home, I worked in an office many, many moons ago, and I sort of know what it's like when people go in the break room. And I thought, well, all those people who are just now working from home, who have never done it before, they're probably going to miss that social time and those characters in the coffee room that they would talk to at work. So I decided that I needed to be some characters and I would be there for your coffee break. So I thought that I had 4 characters for the whole show, and each week would be 4 episodes. So each character got an episode. And for, I thought Instagram was the perfect place to put it. And those episodes have to be a minute or less for video. Mm-hmm. So they're just little quick scenes, a minute long. And it was a lot of fun. I did it for 5 weeks. And, near the end, like week 4, I kept thinking that the quarantine was going to be over. And I'm like, I want to work on some other projects if we're all stuck at home. So writing the 5th week, I was like, it's time for the show to end. So I had to like wrap it up nicely. And where are these people going? Do they all leave the office? And I'll tell you goodbye. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was glad to do something that I wanted to make people enjoy the quarantine instead of being like, gosh, what am I going to do? Freaking out. So I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I can say, I was someone who was working at home in that capacity for the first time, and it was really helped. It really helped me feel like I was in the office, and that's really how I started following your stuff, which has been really wonderful. Belinda was my favorite. Can you do a little bit of Belinda just real quick?
No, I won't. You cannot tell me to do some Belinda right now, because I didn't get prepared for that.
She was my favorite. I want to have coffee with her. She was great. Thank you for that. Oh, those were really wonderful. So I'm just curious. So to what extent, when you came, so you're from Atlanta, you came out to LA, you were, came from this medical background, then you started acting, and you came to LA to act, and you started doing producing and writing. I'm curious as to what extent, whenever you kind of made your way out to LA, did you think that you would actually start producing and writing?
No. I, when I was leaving Atlanta, in my mind, I was going to be an indie film star. I didn't want to be on the cover of magazines. I wanted to be indie because that was tough and cool. Little did I know that I fell into writing. I also found out that a few years after I got out here, I was diagnosed with this degenerative thing with my vision, and had some accidents on set and on stage. And that's when I was like, I've really got to write some things, and that way I'll be in a little bit more control. But also, aside from that, it's so hard for anybody to get cast in something. When you get out here, you've got to have an agent, you've got to have a manager, all these things. And just an agent is so hard to get if you don't know anyone. And then sometimes it still can be hard. So I think writing is the best advice anybody could get if they're a new actor out here, because I don't know, to me, it's a lot more fun because, like I said, I get to control the characters. It's almost like you're playing with puppets, like this could be a happy couple this week. And, you might be thinking this episode, they're going to be together forever. And then by the end of the season, you might be like, what if they got a divorce? Just anything can happen if you're in control.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, I had no idea that I would end up with a production company. That still blows my mind. And that's all tied in. So with the sight loss thing, I found out, once I found out I was in the disability category, things changed as far as auditions. And, there was all this stigma. And I realized, I know that Hollywood disability community has been rallying for years to get themselves cast in anything instead of other people playing them. And I thought, well, if I write my own stuff and produce my own stuff, then we will be cast. So that's a labor of love. And that's the main reason behind Eggroll. There are other things I want to do with it, but my main goal is to cast and as well as use people with disabilities as part of the crew. That's another thing that never gets touched usually is asking us to write our own stories or asking us to produce or direct our own stories or edit. costumes, all those little roles, we're always overlooked. I won't say always, there might be a 0.08% that gets utilized, but yeah.
So it sounds like Eggroll Media really fills this gap in the industry. Really,
Yes, yes.
absolutely. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats. What a wonderful mission. So I'm curious, tell us a little bit more about Eggroll Media and how it's come to be.
So currently, well, it was Southern Blend Productions when I did the audio series. And, you know, once I started looking at the bigger picture, I went through the Small Business Association and took a few months of workshops through them. And I was just figuring out branding and stuff like that. And I thought, you know, Southern Blend Productions is a mouthful, and I didn't want it to be labeled to the South. So I had a list of names that I was going through, and one night my dog and I were eating Thai food delivery, and she didn't want the yellow curry. She only wanted the egg rolls. And I just said to her, well, everybody loves egg rolls. And then I was like, oh, that's it. Eggroll Media. And I texted a few friends, Blakely, you being one of them. And everybody said right away, Eggroll Media. So I felt like if everybody loved it, then maybe that was the winner.
Cool. That's awesome. What about the services you offer? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so as we mentioned earlier, I've been doing audio for a while. So I started out producing podcasts for people because I have a sound booth that I built for that first audio series. So I produce voiceover demos. That might be on the down low right now with the quarantine. But I also, I still produce podcasts, but I think since everybody's had this time at home, they've learned how to do it. And I do comedy albums. I can do, if you have a live event, I can produce and edit your audio for that and mix it. And I do voiceover myself. And then I have writing services, and I can write your copy. I can write scripts for audio, like radio ads, fiction podcast. I can write, I write scripts, but I mainly like to write the full scripts for TV and film for myself. And, but for you, I can also write commercials. I started to lose, and web content.
So kind of soup to nuts, it sounds like.
Yeah, and so it's audio, video, and writing. And the video would be like 1 to 2 minute videos for your Instagram ads, or just like a little quick internet commercial.
Okay, got it, awesome.
Branded content is what the whole big package, I think, is called.
Nice, nice. So who are you most looking forward to working with?
Well, as silly as it sounds, but now it's been a mission of mine. When I very first moved out here, I was at a party one night, and this lady was a fortune teller, but I didn't ask her to read my fortune. She just did it. And she told me, you are going to work with Sir Anthony Hopkins one day. So we've crossed some paths, not working together, but in other avenues of life. And so, and I didn't tell him, of course, but he is a really incredibly nice person. And I would love to work with him one day. He's been on my list since she told me that. When she mentioned it, I was like, why would she pick him of all people? And I don't know, that's just been something that I aspire to do now. That's like,
okay, got it. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so a little bit more about Eggroll's mission. So it sounds like it really is around working with the community to fill some of these gaps that happen that are occurring right now. But tell us a little bit more about that, about the mission and vision of Eggroll Media.
Well, it's all female based, so we're not all about disability. That's just, I want to give jobs to people with disabilities. But our whole focus is, you know, female crew, female content. Anybody can enjoy our content, but it's for that. I think one of the questions I noticed that you had was like my goal 5 years from now. So where I would like to be, one of my missions is 5 years from now, if I've given at least 15 people who have disabilities jobs in the industry, then my work is done here. I mean, I want to keep on going, but that is my number one goal first, you know, to give people opportunity. And I think even if I open up as, you know, some paid internships and on the job training and stuff, then that can, you know, open a door for them to move on to bigger places with bigger benefits and all of that. I would love for everybody to stay with me as Eggroll grows, but if they wanted to, they would have these skills and they would have this experience under their belts.
Wow. So this really is a space for, you know, people to come and grow. And so it sounds like, you know, 5 years from now, if you give them 15 people jobs, that's success. I'm confident you'll make that. It's incredible. So
thank you.
It's exciting. So is there so if you could say just a couple of things to anyone moving to LA who's going into acting, what would you say?
Learn to write. I remember my first or second year out here, someone who's a major producer, and we went to a family dinner at their house. He was just being kind, giving me this advice, and he said, you should go to the UCLA Extension and learn to write. I've taught courses there. You know, everybody all the staff have worked in the industry at high levels. And my response was, I just want to act. I don't want to be a writer. You know, I was so new and had that indie film star idea in my head. And I've kicked myself so many times, but, you know, I've gained a lot of knowledge and wisdom by waiting before I went. So I think it took me a good 5 or 6 years before I actually said, I remember him talking about UCLA Extension. So that was the best thing I could have ever done. And if you do it sooner, you know, now that we have phones and everything, all this technology where we can put our own stuff online, you know, you can get yourself out there instead of waiting for an agent or waiting for an audition or waiting to get cast in something. So that's my best advice, is make your own stuff, even if it's with your phone, you know, whatever you can, because get your face out there and somebody's going to like it and somebody's going to retweet it or whatever it's called on Facebook. Share. I don't have Facebook. Yeah. So
repost. Yeah.
Repost. And don't wait for an agent to work for you. I did that for a long time in my early years too, as an actress. I kept depending on this agent, and I wasn't with a very good agency at that time. You know, I took who I could get, and I really didn't get far with that. So
learn to write, get your face out there, do your own stuff. Don't wait for an agent.
Right, right.
That's good advice. That's awesome.
Thank you. I wish I had heard all of that. Like the don't wait for the agent and put your stuff online.
Sure. Well, the industry is very lucky to have Eggroll Media and to have you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any last words? Anything else to add?
Yes. Tomorrow I am working on the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. It's a thing that they do every year to promote disability in media. And I would like to say that that's the one way we can normalize ourselves in society, you know, without people staring or fear or any of that stuff, and giving us jobs. But it's the film challenge tomorrow. And by the end of the week, I will have made a tiny little documentary for their challenge, but that will be online. It's first going to be on YouTube under the Disability Film Challenge, and that should be on their YouTube page by next week sometime. And then voting starts. They have judges from the industry, but there's also a social media thing, like a prize if you have the most social media likes and stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't ever shoot for that. I just always shoot for the other stuff, like the best film and best editor.
Okay. Everyone vote for Bella.
Team Bella.
Yes, we are Team Bella.
It should be hashtag Team Bella.
Hashtag Team Bella.
I'm going to have to put that when I start sharing it.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear about it.
Thank you.
Thank you again. I can't wait to see what comes out of Eggroll Media. I'm sure it's going to be wildly successful, and I can't wait to hear where things are in 5 years. And the industry is very lucky to have your company. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for talking to me, Blakely, because the more I talk about it, the more things iron out in my brain as far as, what directions to go in. So thank you.
You got it. You got it. All right, everybody. Check out Eggroll Media.
Thanks for listening.
Vote Team Bella. Thank you.